You're listening to the Red Eye Hour.
Welcome back, everybody. This is J.Meeks, your host of the Red Eye Hour, and this is a new Solo Stories. We are back today with a Solo Stories Part 11, and this one is called Tomorrow and Tomorrow. And this is by Adobe James, which is actually out of a favorite book of mine from the 70s. And it's actually out of a book from Alfred Hitchcock Presents, Stories to be Read with the Door Locked. And I'm going to be reading this story for you guys today because it's really good. It's short, but it's really good. I apologize. It's been like a little over 3 weeks since I dropped my last solo story. But back in December, I accepted a new job with the city. And it's really important. And I've been like training and learning how to do my job, which is going to still take a while, but I'm getting the hang of it. It's I love it where I work and everything, and I've just been really like submerged with my work lately in my life. So I apologize for not having a video up sooner, but without further ado, let's get into it. Solo Stories, Part 11, Tomorrow and Tomorrow. Paul Bosjian felt nothing. No fear, no satisfaction that he had been right. No gladness now that the time for revenge had finally come. Nothing, as he heard the urgent whispering of leather boot heels and metal toe caps on the dark pavement behind him. Ahead was a street lamp, an oasis of light and temporary safety. Beyond it, uncertain darkness of the savage jungle that is the city at night. Paul hobbled into the light. He wore a faded old silk dress and a shorty coat, a black leather purse clutched close to his breast, a ridiculous hat perched atop the gray wig, and a cane. Everything calculated to show that this was a harmless old woman who could not defend herself. It was a convincing portrayal. It had been convincing once 25 years before when, as a member of the British Special Services, Paul had walked into the Berlin headquarters of the Gestapo. He heard the rat pack behind him cross the street to avoid the direct rays of light. They were like night crawlers and other things less than human, he thought. They slither in the darkness, and they should be exterminated like disease-carrying rodents. Now Paul had moved beyond the streetlight. When he was sure they could not see him, he glanced over his shoulder and counted 8 indistinct shadows silhouetted against the brick wall across the street. And now, for the first time, Paul felt something. Disappointment. He had hoped there would be more. He had hoped there would be as many as 14. That had been the number accused of raping his 15-year-old daughter, Anne. He had seen their grinning, mocking faces in court, had heard the simpering tones of their attorney pointing out to the jury that these were good boys from a poverty-stricken neighborhood, and later had heard the attorney's brutal arrogance when he demanded their release because the girl was blind and could not possibly identify any of her attackers. Paul would have settled for 12. However, there had been a dozen of them the night Evelyn, his wife, had been slugged, thrown viciously to the pavement, and her purse ripped from her arm. She couldn't identify any of them either. She died before the ambulance arrived. Now, he heard the sound of running on the other side of the street as 4 of them went ahead in a flanking movement. He paused as if uncertain, frightened, and backed against the wall of the warehouse. Unhurriedly, he removed the end of the cane and waited. "Hey, old lady, give me a dime!" The voice came out of the darkness, out of the left about 20 feet away. "Give us a dime, old lady, and you won't be hurt. I mean, like, lady. You're dried up. Ain't no good to any of us." All we want is the money." There was a laughter at this, and someone wisecracked, "How do you know it ain't no good? Your mother, you? Have you tried it out?" Paul waited, saying nothing. The shadows formed themselves into a wide semicircle around him. He heard a snicker and the whispered click of a switchblade. And then the voice, like the rattle of a snake. "It's your last chance, old lady. Throw out the purse." The circle tightened. It bulged toward the center as one of the pack moved forward. Paul threw the purse on the ground out in front of him. The pack leader shoved it aside with his foot. "That's better, but you didn't do it when I told you the first time. So maybe we'd better teach you a lesson. When I tell you to do something, do it." He had his fist drawn back, and the rest of the gang shuffled forward to watch the entertainment. Paul waited until the punk was about 4 feet away, and then lifted his cane and drove it home into the soft part of the belly where there's no chance it would stick to bone. There was a surprised grunt that gave way to a shuddering moan as the leader slumped to the ground holding his stomach. Paul took 2 quick steps forward and swung out again. The cane vibrated as it hit the flesh. He heard a gurgling scream and a shout from the right. "Look out! The old lady's got a sword!" They scattered, just as Paul had known they would do when confronted by someone capable of self-defense. Behind him, the leader lay gasping on the ground. He would die, but it would take a while. Quite a while. The other punk was already dead, his head nearly severed by the razor-sharp blade. Paul screwed the tip back on his cane. He glanced around. The purse was gone. Slowly, almost wearily, he began walking home. Down the street, 3 blocks behind him, the night erupted in a flaming volcano of leather and flesh as the purse was opened. Paul was almost thrown to the ground by the force of the blast. He felt nothing. Not gladness, not sadness, not even a feeling of accomplishment. Tomorrow night, he would put on his costume again and walk the darkened L's on Market Street. And that is the end, folks, of that short story. I really love that story. It's packed with a lot of information. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Again, this is J.Meeks, the host of the Red Eye Hour, and bringing you Solo Stories, Part 11, Tomorrow and Tomorrow. We'll catch you guys next time. Please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, make a comment, share, tell people about it. If you love random stories of folklore and mystery and supernatural stuff and really random stories that I come up with, then I appreciate you coming back, man, and listening. I really do. And I will catch you guys next time on the Red Eye Hour. Goodbye, everybody.
Thanks for flying with the Red Eye Hour.